Well, welcome to Slipcover Solutions. I hope tonight that you guys find some ideas that you can incorporate in your own home just to spruce things up. We're all in here looking at our four walls and furniture and thinking, okay, what can I do to make it, brighten it up or change it for the seasons? A lot of people have a winter set of things and a summer set of things, you know, so we don't have that drastic of seasons here, but sometimes we like to brighten it up and lighten it up, and white slip covers are very popular right now, just using white canvas fabric. And so a lot of the pictures that are on the handout is of that, but we're going to go through the basic ones. I have about 14, is it 14? Mm-hmm. Types of things to share with you off this handout, and we'll just describe them. So the very first one is an overlap, just a back flap pillow. So if you wanted to just have a piece of fabric and it just wraps around a pillow and you just sew the top and the bottom, that's the easiest slip cover of all to make. And that's number one. Okay, so no zipper required, nothing hard. The only thing is that you want to make sure that the two sides overlap far enough that if it's pushed upon, it doesn't gape and your stuffing is exposed. Okay, so I overlap it when I do that. Maybe 4 inches of overlap is good. The other thing is you offset the overlap all the way over to the right or the left, and then that makes it really easy to have kind of a clean finish on the back as well. Not that it's necessary, but just if you like that look. The second one I'm going to show you, number 2, maybe is a pillow slip cover with piping or zipper. And maybe some of you, I'm going to grab a pillow. Maybe some of you have done one of these. It's a pillow with the piping around the edge. Now the piping works best on a bias, so you might want to write that down. If you're cutting fabric to go around piping, you want it to be able to bend easily around corners, and so we always put the fabric on the bias. That means that you're going to cut 45 degrees angle up that fabric, and it does take a big chunk of it out, but you can just keep doing like 3-inch increments of strips and do all your stripping, and then sew that all together to one continuous long strand of fabric, and then wrap it around your piping. And then it's just very easy. It makes it look good too because it's on the bias here instead of straight checks, if that makes sense. Okay, so I cheated and didn't do a zipper. I just closed this with Velcro. So you can do that. You can sew Velcro in there on both sides, and then you don't have to do the zipper. Because doing a zipper is great, but it does, if you don't have a very tough machine, it's hard to do it up against the piping when you've got, that adds 2 extra layers of fabric. So then you've got the Velcro, the 2 pieces of piping, or the fabric that wraps around the piping, and then your front and back of your pillow. And so that's a lot to go through your machine. So by, you know, and the zipper foot is not as strong as like the other foots on your machine. Anyway, so if you ever have trouble, you could try just doing Velcro, okay? So that's one. Okay, so then I'm gonna show you a chair pad with ties. And this I've done with my kitchen chairs. Maybe I'm gonna turn on the camera to make it easier to see this. Oops, that was turning off everything. Let me show you, can you guys see this? Looks like I dressed to match my chairs today, doesn't it? I didn't, okay. So this chair cushion actually goes around my kitchen chair. So it's hard to get, you see it's got a little skirt, and then in the back, it's got these buttons that unbutton, and it wraps around, it covers up these little ties that I made, okay? So how I did that was, see, this is the back side of it. And again, I used the Velcro thing because I have a foam cushion in there that I wanted a padded seat. Now you can do a very simple one without the skirting, and that makes it really easy. It's almost like your pillow, but then you've added ties that go around. These have Velcro on them. And so they just go around the chair thing. And I knew that they weren't going to be hid, or they were going to be hid, so I didn't finish that too great. If it was going to be exposed, I would have made it longer. This one right here is one of those that I did. And you can see the ties I made for the front and then for the other side too. This one, let me see if I can show you. You see that? There. Okay. This one actually goes on this chair, I believe. It's been a while since I've done this. And so it ties around the back right there. And then it ties around the center section of the chair. Can you see that? Am I doing okay? And then it ties here, okay? It also ties in front. And then that keeps it from, like, if you were to sit down, you don't want to be scooting this back while you're sitting down. So to keep that in place, you put ties in the front that go under the front legs. That make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so basically this is just a flat piece of fabric, and I just scalloped around the edges. The one thing I did do, and tie this and show you, is it wasn't laying very flat on the corner. So I went ahead and did this little dart right there to encase the ties, but also to make this point. Does that make sense? So that's the corner of the cushion. And so it kind of came down over the cushion, the front of the chair. And you'll see that if you were to lay just a plain piece of fabric here, let me show you. If you were to lay, this is hard. There's this extra fabric here. So you're just, let me get this in the camera. You're just getting rid of this little corner right here. Hold on. Right there. And just by taking a little dart in there, it makes it hug the chair seat very nicely. So that when I come down, it goes around. So the scallops just fall in the right place, okay? So that's a flat chair seat. That's like in number 3 and number 4 on our handouts, okay? Number 5, do you guys know who Miss Mustard Steed is? I'm gonna come back to me.
That sounds familiar.
She does a lot of painting renovations with chalk paint.
Okay, that must be it then.
That's probably what you've seen,
Mm-hmm.
is her doing, she may even have her own line of chalk paint. I think she might. She does a lot of renovations, and so she's the number 5 on here. She did a ruffled skirt, and if you go onto that YouTube video, you can just watch her make this ruffly dining room chair cover with ties on the back that are really fluffy and stuff. The thing that she didn't do, and I always do this because it wouldn't last one washing, is she didn't line it at all. And I like to line my fabric, my seat covers. I always put in like a sheeting, some sort of just muslin kind of thing, and I've serged all my edges or encase it, like do an envelope, like in this seat cover. I just used the same, I had enough fabric, I just did front and back the same thing, you know, so it can go in the washing machine, it'll never fray, right? So make sure that you do line your seat covers. This one, again, I lined it with this other fabric. So I could maybe, no, I can't reverse it because I've got kick pleats. Anyway, I just had extra pretty fabric, so I did that on the back. But if you're never going to turn it over, it doesn't matter what's shown. So this one is along that same line. Let me show you. I made this for my dining room chairs, and I never really finished it. I guess I got lazy. But I figured out where I needed to make it to go through and around the chair posts. It's kind of like the blue one. So I'll show you. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. So the front would go like this. And I haven't put ties on it yet or anything. And then the back is just like this. So there's really nothing. And I was trying to figure out, okay, now how am I going to attach it all? And then I thought, okay, I'm going to make a separate little skirt that matches this side. And then I was going to go like this and put buttons along here, buttons and buttonholes. Is that?
That's really pretty.
So it works. And I would have done some, you know, like probably 2 buttons here, 2 here, and 1 that brought the end and round. But I never finished it. So I still have the fabric to do all 6 chairs, but that's one way of just covering up a chair. Okay? And the one thing I like it is when we ordered the chairs, we wanted to keep it neutral. And then sometimes you get tired of neutral and you want to bring in a pattern. And that's an easy way to bring in a pattern that doesn't cost a lot of money because the amount of fabric is so small, right? Again, I did the bias trim, the piping on the bias. So it has that nice, and so there's 3 different fabrics here. Mm-hmm. The big main pattern, the, what do you call it? The piping's another one. And then the little skirts, a 3rd tinier pattern. Okay. Let's see, going on. There's seat cushion wraps that are all one fabric and one piece of fabric, and it's just wrapped around top, front, back, or bottom, and then back up in the back, and then you just sew the side seams. That's number 6. If you can look at that, you can see the pattern, how they've just brought the fabric around the front, and then there's a zipper closure on the back. Mm. Number 6, he also talks about foam descriptions in that one. So I have that in the description right there where it says foam. Mm-hmm. He goes into explain the different kinds of foam, and I'm going to take a minute and do that now. There's different densities of foam that you can get, and I buy my foam at the Joann's, you know, just a fabric store. And they have indoor density foam at different types, and they also have outdoor foam. If you're making outdoor cushions that are going to get rain on them, you would want to do the kind that is plastic and the water goes right through it, okay? Mm-hmm. So it allows you to keep it overnight or out 24/7 out in the weather. Have you ever seen that?
Never.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there was a difference.
There is, yeah. Because what happens is the regular density foam will just absorb the water and it'll just be really heavy. And it could break your chair or your lawn furniture. The other thing about it is whenever I have a foam wrapped or a foam cushion, I always wrap it with batting. And I don't know if you've done that before too, but if you were to open up your sofa cushions, take a look. They should be wrapped in batting around the foam. And what that does is it softens it and gives it some poofiness and fills in the little corners and that kind of thing. And when you're making a slip cover, you make it just exactly to the dimensions. Even at some measurements will tell you to do 1/2 inch smaller on the sides so that it hugs snugly to the pad. Okay. So this is an outdoor cushion I did right here. I have a whole set. The squirrels got to our cushions and just started tearing them apart. So I took fabric and I did 2 different colors on the sofa part. And for the welting, I just, there's a little spider. I didn't do piping in here because I didn't want it to stay wet. Have you ever sat on a cushion that was still wet on the piping and you get this stripe along your shorts, you know? So I didn't put any piping in, but I did do a flange that looks like piping, but it's just a flat fabric. And so what you can do is you can just pleat it in the corners and not worry about it. The other thing, you have to have an opening, obviously, to get it in. And I've just pinned these with a safety pins. Don't judge me. But I'm going to open this up and show you. I probably should have finished it with Velcro. That was the intention. But I can take these off and wash them once a year.
Now, Deb, it's supposed to go outside. Do you still wrap it with the batting?
Don't know what it is inside. Let me look. Yeah, it's got batting.
Okay.
Yeah. It's more of a plasticky batting. It's not like a regular batting you would use for quilting. It's like a little foam edge. I don't know. But the important thing here is if you're going to do Velcro, you want the fabrics to be big enough that they overlap each other. If it was just butting up like you were going to put a zipper in, then when you go to do the Velcro, it'd be too tight and you wouldn't have that extra space to sew one of the Velcros underneath. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You need it to overlap.
Right.
Okay, so this section actually, and you always go past the corner because it's easier to get the cushion on and off, is one piece. Just this right here is separate, and there's a little gusset right here that gives you a little bit of leeway. Does that make sense? And then it goes to one piece all around here, comes back around, one piece in the front, one piece on the side. Again, there's a little tuck, and then it just gives you it's much easier to get it on and off. My old cushion covers are underneath there, but they're completely shot. The squirrels chewed it. Anyway, does that make sense? Okay, so that's kind of helpful to know. Let's see. That was, and then number 7 is that turquoise one at the bottom of the first page. Number 7, it's without any cording, but it's just with a big separating zipper. And she goes through and does it really quickly and shows you how easy it is to just sew the zipper in between and have the zipper come around the whole outside. Okay. Let's see. Now this one, see, I just did with buttons. You can just do buttons and buttonholes on the back. This was a bench one like you did, Lori. And see, there's my batting, there's my foam. You see the batting? But it just makes it soft. And that's for window seats that we have down our hallway. The important thing is to cut it to size. Now this had funny, it's very slight, but it was enough to make a difference. I've got a little wing here where the shelves, we have got bookcases on either side, and the foam has to come out and around because the bench comes out and around. So make sure that when you're tracing your pattern, you're looking out to where you need to conform your foam and trace that. You can just trace it with felt pen, mark your foam with felt pen, and then you take, I don't know if you guys have this, but it's old school. It's an electric carving knife to carve a turkey. It works really great to cut the foam from the store. I get 4-inch foam. That works really good. That's a good size for foam. And then I would just cut it like that and trim that piece off. And that's how I did it. And then, you know, you wrap your foam, you wrap your batting around, and you can actually, you can staple the batting in place. It's fine if there's staples, just wrapping that together and stapling it. I never did, it's loose. But I could have taken this right here and just stapled it together all the way down. You know, no big deal. Okay, so on to number 8. Where are we? Oh, okay, so box welted cushion. That would be, well, I don't have one right here. You know what it is, though. It's just the knife edge with the 3 pieces. You have a top, you have the side, and then you have the bottom. And the piping is in between there. And there is good instruction on these videos of how to do the piping to where you don't have these sharp, funny corners that are too pointed. You don't want to just snip it in one place. You actually want to snip it in 2 places and have it kind of, let me draw a diagram. You would want it to go, like that. See how it's going to come around? So your piping actually gives you kind of a rounded edge. And that looks much better. What happens if you do it too pointy and your cushion doesn't fill it all the way, you have this little wingy thing and there's nothing there. So a lot of people take extra stuffing and they stick it inside those corners. So if you have a pillow or a cushion that is really wobbly on those corners, you can take a ball of stuffing and stuff it in there and make it firmer, and it will just look better, okay? That's another hint. So number 9 is a Parsons chair. So a Parsons chair would be like this chair. And I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna turn on my camera again. Although the camera doesn't go completely upside down, but okay. So this red chair right here, this is a Parsons chair cover. See, it's got the box pleat down the side. And then it actually has, this one has a zipper. So it makes it easy to get it on and off. And a lot of them need that because the Parsons chair is really foam on all sides. It's cushioned. This isn't a Parsons chair underneath it, by the way. But the thing I like about this slipcover is that it's kind of cut on a round, and so it makes kind of a flirty skirt at the bottom, which is kind of fun. But again, this has no ties. There's no ties that tie it to these corners. So I'm constantly sitting on it like that, and I always have to straighten it out. So, and that was a Pottery Barn cushion. That was, or a slip cover. That wasn't one I made, but I could go back and add the stripes if I wanted. You have any questions about that? So I think what you need to do is look at the furniture that you're thinking about making a slipcover for and decide which of these videos would fit the best in that situation. Do you have to have can the edges just meet? Can the edges just be like this, you know, just a knife edge? Do they need the full gusset, you know, that's going down the sides? You actually follow the lines of whatever it is you're covering. And that makes it look a lot more professional, and it fits the chair the best. You may not want to do a chair. You might want to jump up and go to a full upholstered piece of furniture. And that's what I'm doing right now. Well, I have been doing. I haven't worked on it lately. Number 10 is a full chair. This is the best video I have ever seen, number 10. So put a star by that one. It is just so good on the explanation of how to do a dining room chair cover that's more contemporary looking. I'm doing a full easy chair. So this is the back of this is a piece of it. But I'm fully lining it with, I don't know, it looks like sheeting of some sort. And then it's gonna come, this must be the seat bottom. It comes straight down and then comes to, this is finished on these sides, and I haven't ironed it or anything. This is just the back section of it. You just have to break down your upholstered piece in pieces and think of it as your inside pieces and your outside pieces. And there's number 10 video is really good at showing that. When we were in Maine at Christmas time, my son and his wife had bought some new white linen kitchen chairs, if you can believe it, at is it Restoration Hardware? Yeah. So they're very nice chairs, right? And they had a 3-year-old, and so they had put a towel over the chair where she sat every meal. And they go, "Oh, I bought this fabric, but I don't know how to do a cover. Can you do it?" And instead of just, you know, putting the fabric inside the seat and back over the back and then putting ties on the side, which was what she was looking at, I went ahead and did a full slipcover that almost looked like number 10 with the sides and the back and everything. And it was just really form-fitted to where we put the towel underneath the slipcover, put the slipcover over it, and then stuck it next to the other chairs, and it looked just like the rest of she had gotten white linen, but she can take it off and wash it now, right? She can take off that thing, and then there's the towel underneath to protect the real cushion. So I think you can make it, the more you can make it like the real piece of furniture, the better. The more form-fitting it is, and the more detail, I guess, you put on it, the better it'll look. Number 11 shows you that there is an easy chair with piping. Now, these next 2 videos she's done, she has an upholstery business, and she puts up videos all the time. So if you have a certain piece of furniture, you can just search for her, what's her name? Kim, I think. You'll see it. And she, this one is just like a grandma's chair, you know, with the full rolled arms and everything. And she starts with the front and how to just put the piping around it. And you get to the point where a slipcover can be almost as involved as a reupholstering job. But you're not taking it all the way down and messing with the nails and messing with the stuffing and having redo the strings and the webbing and all that if it's a really old piece of furniture. So a lot of times an old piece of furniture can be revamped with just a slipcover and it'll look just as nice, you know, as having a new upholstery. Number 12 has, okay, so 11 is a loose cushion on the back. Number 12 is a fixed cushion. So number 12, she shows you how to do a slipcover with the back cushion in place and how you cut around that and piece it together and put your piping. Your piping in this case adds a lot to the finished product because you use contrasting piping on number 12, okay? Number 13 is just what everybody can do to a couch is slipcover it with white duck canvas, right? Or twill, cotton twill. She goes through and shows how she's revamped this whole sofa just by slipcovering it with white fabric. And it's just, and it's lovely because she doesn't, she's got animals, or people who have animals swear by white slipcovers because they can just throw it in the washing machine with, they're tied and they're OxyClean, and it cleans very well that way, okay? And then number 14 is patio furniture covers. Again, we talked about there's certain kind of batting and foam cushions that you would use on the outdoor cushions. And she just goes through and does her whole set, and her video is her redoing all the different pieces and how she put little tabs on there to hook onto the wire frame of her patio furniture and everything. So that's a good video also, okay? And let's see. Oh, you know, I want to get, you guys, I want to show you something. I have an ottoman that I slip covered and there's a seam on there I want to show you. Okay, so let me grab the ottoman. Hold on. Okay. So let me show you this one. This has rounded corners on it, and you might find this on your ottoman too. It's just very soft top, kind of rolls on all four corners. It's not very sharp. And so I just wanted to do a slip cover really easily on it. And so I just did kind of a square. But what I wanted to show you is this corner. If I were to pull it out straight, if I were to do it straight across, it would come out about here. But because it's rounded, you need to round that seam up to the corner. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So when you're inside here, let me show you. I'll just take it off. Hold on. I just threw it down. No. Okay. I'm going to show you the seam. Okay. I don't know if I can, if it shows that. See how rounded this is over here? It's extremely rounded. And you wouldn't think that you would need that. But you do to make it contour towards the stuffing, the batting, right? If it was a sharp edge like a foam cushion, that would be different. But this one is very rounded right here. So that's another thing to pay attention to. You could do a straight dart, and then you have this point sticking out. And all you have to do, don't freak out, just go ahead and go back and just round it a little, go into the fabric a little bit, and try it on that way. And you can try it on backwards on your piece of furniture, and that's an easy way to see where you need to tuck in things. And then you flip it around and put it on and try it on. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's one of my last tips, is the rounded corners. It's really important. Okay, so what's some questions that you have for me? Any questions?
I was thinking of doing a sleigh bed in like a white canvas. And I
Okay.
saw that you had an example of a bed here. And on Pinterest, I've seen some that are more fitted like a chair cover. So because mine are dark wood.
Right.
And it was neutral at the time, but now it just kind of has a real heavy feel, I think. And I'm trying to avoid buying a new bed.
So the reason this has all these tabs is because it's an open woodwork kind of bed. You wouldn't be able to do that. You would want to do more of an upholstered looking thing for the sleigh bed, because you're going to have those sides on the sleigh bed that have the circle, at the top and come back down, right? I mean, does it sleigh? It curves at some, like your bed itself kind of goes like that.
Yeah. One of actually I have two sleigh beds, but there's one that has like a more subtle curve without the thing at the top, and then there's another one that actually does have the circle at the top.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the circle isn't okay. So then, one of the ways you can do that then is like do the gusset, like a boxed, just almost like an armchair. That's what you would make it look like then.
Okay, so maybe I'll watch some of those videos and that'll help me get an idea of how to do it.
Exactly. The other suggestion I have on that is you could also cover it with batting, not gluing it or anything, but underneath your cushion, you could put a layer of batting and just kind of soften the bed a little bit. And that might make it not so loose looking, you know?
Yeah.
So there's that option too. You can get some big wide batting, because they make it for quilts that big, that would go across the whole width of it. And then you would just drape it from the box spring all the way over the sleigh bed and come back down. And you could, and then I would just pinch it at the sides, staple it or hand sew it, a running stitch. But then when you put that slip cover on, now, like in a fabric or pottery barn or something, when they do an upholstered headboard, a slip covered headboard, they have a muslin covering over that batting, right? They've made a plywood frame, a wood frame. Then they've taken the batting and put that over it, and then they put a muslin covering on it, and that's all stapled down onto the frame. Then they make their slip cover and put that over it. You don't need to go all to that extreme. I just think, in fact, you could make the slip cover just like it is, and then if you find it's a little loose and it's a little saggy, I think it would perk it up to put the batting around it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions? Any other projects you're thinking about doing?
I have a question, a little bit of a dilemma. And I was just so happy to see this because I've been needing to reupholster. And it's so expensive for like antique. I don't know if I can even show you a picture of it. I got one chair, which is a little easier, but the couch, I don't know how to do it. But my chair is like, I saw it in your picture. It has those wooden arms that kind of stick up and out. But I think maybe you've described it where the seat has gotten so old. It's a little dilapidated. So I don't know if I would add some cushion underneath it. I think that's kind of what you were talking about. Let me show you it here. I'm going to turn the phone around. Let's see if that shows. See, there's the chair.
Sure. Yes. Okay.
And so this is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
This is what it looks like. And so I put this fabric. I'm like, that's what I want to sew it with. But
yeah.
I don't do that.
Right. So all you have to do is make a slip cover. You're going to have to make cutouts for those arms, for the arms and for the back and that kind of thing. Are you on, is it foam right there? So there's no upholstery fabric on there. It's just,
it's torn and it's so old and there's wood right there.
It is wood. So do you feel like that it hurts to sit on that wood? Does it bump the back of your leg? Would you want more foam? Because you could put a foam.
Yeah, I feel like it needs something right there.
Yeah, so what I would do is I would go maybe not a 4-inch foam, but maybe a 2-inch foam and cut it to size for that top. Then put some batting on it and then put your slip cover over.
And so do I just sit it on here, or do I have to stick it or something, or do I have to attach it or sew it?
It'll be fine. It should sit just fine on there. The other option is to take that off, obviously, and then reupholster. But what you're going to find, that's such an old chair that you might have ties and webbing that's sagged, and there's a whole bunch of tools to pull that all together and make it better. The simplest solution is to get a piece of foam and put over the top. Put some batting on top of that, then put your seat cushion, make a seat cushion for it.
Yeah, I never envisioned this, so I'm like so excited that this is the way to do it, put a cover on it. And what about the top thing? Do you think that that's something I would sew and make a hole around here and just slip it around?
You would make a slit right there. Let me see the edge. Does the edge have piping or is it just flat? Okay.
No, there's no piping, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, so it is so it's flat on the back, as I can tell, as far as I can tell, and they wrapped the cushion around to the back is how it's upholstered. And so you're not going to have a sharp front corner. So what you're going to have to do is up in these corners when you're going around the curves, you might have to make pleats every so often with the fabric to make it pull towards the back. Does that make sense? So your back is going to be a flat panel, and your front you'll drape. And one of the videos will show you how to do it.
Right, I'm gonna have.
And you'll just and probably with yours that might look. It would be more defined with piping, but then again, you know, that's another step. It doesn't really need piping because it's not made with piping in that chair. So you could get away with doing it and just having pleats up at the top. And the important thing is you're going to make pleats on one side, you do those same pleats on the other side. So both corners, top corners, have the same pleats going the same way. They're the same size. Kind of
the
important.
top, and then the bottom, so that might be the hard part, but on the bottom, it would just hang loose, or do I attach it?
So that's the other decision you would have to make. So number 10, where the white chair is, they show how to put Velcro on the bottom lip and then put Velcro on the bottom underneath the chair, and then you're wrapping that Velcro around and wrapping it up under the chair, and it's Velcroed under there, and the whole thing sticks all the way around the chair. So number 10 is something that you want to look at as far as finishing the bottom. The other option is just to have ties, and you could tie it around the legs, and you could tie it, you could have your two pieces come down around that front wood handle and then tie it. It just depends. Some people like the ties and some people think it's too cluttery looking. So it just kind of depends what you're looking for. What I would do is search for a video that's pretty close to what you have, the chair that you have, and you'll have a much better luck kind of creating it. Now see, the very last page, this one has the arms that they've made the cutouts in around this dining room chair, and that would be it. But see, they've got slits from where that arm is, the front arm wood piece, all the way down to however long you're going to make your slip cover, you would have that slit. But you could always make a facing like I did. I'm trying to find it. Oh, right here. So you could, so this goes around a piece of wood, right? And so I made a facing that comes around the wood and hooks on. So you could do something like that, that has buttons and then it comes around the wood. So that's an option. or it could come underneath the wood and you could just have snaps or Velcro. And then you still have your stick of the handle coming through, but you're going to have to look at it and think, okay, how do I want that? I don't want this gapping hole. I want it to cover it. So I'm going to have to make a flange, and then I'm going to just bring it around the outside. Does that make sense? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a lot of play.
Yeah, you're going to have to decide, or the other option is to have it to meet, and then you just tie it there. You know, you could have it tied and tied. But your corners, when your flaps come down, somehow you've got to come around that wood or leave that wood exposed and just put ties around it.
Okay.
Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
That gives you lots of options. Really, I think that's the hardest, is to find that you've got, okay, these 4 pieces of wood that you've got to get this flat seat cover through. And what do I want? Do I want a ruffly thing? Do I want a straight one piece? You know, do I want piping on the top cushion and have a separate fall, you know, piece of fabric? Or, yeah, because the simplest obviously is to just do a big square and put ties on, right?
Yeah.
That would be the simplest.
Okay.
But that might not be what you're looking for. So you have to decide. That style of chair would take either of those cases just fine. It's such a classic style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing you could look at is on this same page, this dining room chair, the dining room chair that has rounded. A lot of people will just forget about the wood completely and just make a armchair slipcover that goes over the wood arms and everything. And just, does that make sense? And they've got the back, and so it would be like one of these, but with arms too, and it would cover it. And you could just do a whole slipcover that just looks like a chair, that's, instead of having the 2 pieces, your seat and your back. Lots of choices. So like, again, going back to this one, this is 2 pieces, the seat and the back. And so there's an opening back there, but on these slip covers, they didn't leave that opening. They just covered the whole thing. They just went down and to the bottom. So they went on the back and to the seat, and they've just covered up the hole. Yeah. Okay. So that's the easiest way. But if you want the wood to show, and a lot of people do want the wood to show, that's why they bought the chair in the first place.
Yeah, I like the wood.
Is the wood. So there's lots of ways to go around the wood. I would just look for a video that helps you through that.
So the video, when you're searching, look for slip covers then.
Yes, so you put go to YouTube first of all and put slipcover. Let's see, wood armchair, or slipcover for wood armchair. Well, no, wood and upholstered, because you've got the both of it. You've got the arms and the back. So you've got the wood arms, and then the back, and then just see what you can get. It might even just be called a side chair, you know.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing I wanted to show you guys, let's go through the pictures. So Heather brought the first one up, the slip-covered headboard. There's lots of things you can slip cover. You can slip cover benches, the easy chairs. This one, I want you to take notice. Do all of you have the handout? I can bring it up. Let's see if I shared my screen. Here. Okay, so do you guys see the handout now? Okay, if I go down to this one right here, do you see that beige band that they put on that? That is so classy looking, that linen that they put on the white. So it's a white canvas, but they put this band of beige around there, and it wasn't by accident. It was very smart of them. And the reason is the white linen gets dirty. And so going in and out of chairs and stuff, the dust bunnies and everything would collect, and that you just wouldn't have to clean it as often because you've got that linen border around the bottom. It adds interest, but it's also a practical reason, okay? Then looking over at this next one, the pleats, I want you to take a look. It's very important that your pleats are in the same place on all the chairs. Do you see how it starts in one corner and you go 4 across and it ends? So they've divided the pleats for the size of the chair in equal increments, and they're able to make their pleats that. And it's so important when you're doing that to be consistent on all the chairs that you do, because it would show if you got halfway around and there was a pleat that's kind of kitty corner, right? So it's really important that your pleat edge line up with the edge of that as you're going around. And even on the front is even more important too, but certainly the back, because you are going to see that most of the time when the chairs are pushed in. Okay. This one, I just wanted to show you how the slipcover is all the way from the top all the way to the bottom one piece. Okay. And that may not be the case of how it is upholstered at all, but that's how they decided to do this slipcover. And so that saves you a lot of sewing, not to have to do little pieces, you know, a separate little kick pleat with piping right there. That's very traditional, and it just falls very nicely. So it's more of a contemporary look. Okay. And then here's really your chairs minus the armchair part. This is just, again, the rounded slipcover on the top. Actually, here it is right here. You can't see it very well. I'm sorry, Cindy, but this is your chair that you're kind of reupholstering right now. Is open, round back, and then the holes for the arms. So I'm sure you can find a video for it, for sure. Yeah. So again, this is a Parsons chair slipcover with a fall that goes all the way to the floor. Okay. Again, this looks good because you don't see a lot of legs. If you like that look, I kind of like the legs showing myself. Okay, and then over here is the living room. This is still, well, this is on page 4. There's an ottoman back here, and this ottoman is slip covered, and they've done the piping in 2 rows, and so it just looks like the slip cover exactly, or the ottoman underneath. The ottoman has 2 rows of piping, and so does this slip cover. What you can do, a lot of people on the slip cover will go ahead and put a piece of elastic around that 2nd row of piping, and that just brings it in a little bit, because a lot of people, their ottoman, it's an attached cushion, so you can kind of get underneath it, but it's sewn together for an ottoman. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
No? You want me to go get my ottoman and I'll show you what I mean? Or not? You're okay? Yeah? You want me to?
No.
No. Okay. So just know just know that you could put elastic down there, and that just brings it in and tightens it around that top part a little bit. Anyway, so a couple things about dining room chairs. You may have to put in a zipper or a back opening, like on my red one, where you can get it over the bigger wide wood part, okay? Because my dining room chairs go like this. They're Queen Anne, no, they're, I forget what they're called, but they go like that. And so if I were to keep it sewn towards there, I wouldn't get it over the top widest part. So this pleat that's done in the back is to get the cushion, the slip cover over the hardest part of the chair. Okay. This one is just showing how you can do easy chairs with the white. That looks good. And here you go. There's a picture of kind of your chair, but not really. These little arm covers, they've done separately and just Velcroed underneath. And the seat is separate. And there's that hole for the wood. And what they've done is behind this pleat is a slit all the way down, and you can't see it. It's hid in the pleat, if that makes sense. Okay. And then that's how they got it around the seat. Okay. This back is, you can tell it's not fully cushioned. It looks like it's got little strips, kind of like our headboard.
Do you think they have patterns for that?
I bet not. I bet you're going to have to find a video that shows you how to make a pattern for it. I'll look for you too. I kind of know what to look for. But I don't think a sewing pattern is available. Maybe. I haven't been to a fabric store looking at patterns for so long. Maybe they do have something. Same thing, here's the kick pleat. This is important in the front corners to have a corner pleat right there on that front corner if you're gonna do it. You guys saw it on this cushion where I've got this green underneath, but these are on the front corners of my chairs. And I just went ahead and did a different color for contrast. Okay. Again, on this one with the monogram, I think that's a cute idea. And this is like yours too, going around the arms. Do you see how they did that?
Yeah. I wonder how they tucked that under.
It's slit. It's slit on both sides.
But on the bottom, how do you attach the bottom? Velcro it underneath there?
Well, they may have Velcroed it, or it looks like it's loose. To me, this looks loose, right? It just is a pleated kind of skirt, and it just falls right there. So when you are attaching your fall to the top, you would leave a little space for the wood and not put any fabric that would impede on that. I can't remember if your wood goes all the way to the bottom of your seat or if it's over in the cushion like this one.
It is in the cushion. It's in the corner, but there's actually wood. No, there's no wood underneath. It's just the corner and then it goes down.
Okay. Yeah. So yours are you're gonna have to do one more that looks like this then, the tan one. Yeah. Okay. There's bench seating. I wanted to show on this bench seating how you can see the tie. This is how this bench cushion stays on. They made probably a 4-foot long piece of tie and made it 2 feet long on each side so that they could ballet tie it to that bench, which looks good. So this middle one is a lot like the slipcover I made for my son and his family. This one, with the sides and the back and all that. Okay. Again, this one just shows ties, how you have to open it. And then we talked about these last two. So that's it as far as the class goes. Any other questions? No? Okay, well, I am available all the time at the library. If you have any questions and you get befuddled and you want to just Zoom you and I together on a project, we can do that just on our own. Or you can just email me a question, anything you want to do. I kind of can look something up. If I don't know the answer, I'm really good at research. So we can find it out together. And then I learned something too also, but I'm more than willing to help you on your sewing endeavors. The biggest thing is to be careful about your sewing machine. Make sure you have a really big needle, size needle, because you're going to go through all those layers. And so you need a really, like a jean fabric kind of needle to be able to handle that, okay? And press as you go. Pressing is your friend. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Deb. That's great.
Right.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy looking up all those different videos and watching them. Okay. And I think hopefully all those links are correct. If for some reason one of the links is wrong, just Google it. You'll find, and then you can match it to the picture that I've shown pretty much. Okay. Well, thank you all for coming tonight, and let me know how your projects come. Send me a picture if you get something finished, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. See you later.